Here's more of the Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
Well, I'm on my way.
Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show. 6:33. We are in day 2 of a partial government shutdown, and work is still underway. It seems to be mostly by House Republicans to try and find a solution to fund the government and keep things back in operation. And here to talk more about that, I am joined with our Congressman, Tom Cotton. Congressman, great to have you here.
Good morning, Alice. It's great to be on with you, as always.
Well, I'm glad you could be here because so much is going on, and you worked over the weekend. And let me just give what it appears to me is that House Republicans have presented, obviously, numerous plans to keep the government open, and they included first to defund Obamacare, then delay it, and then delay portions of it, and then wipe out the exemption from Congress and their staff. And the Democrats have said, no, it's our way or the highway. So are you surprised that we are in a shutdown?
I am disappointed at the Senate's stubborn and party-line votes to shut down the government to protect every single part of Obamacare at all costs. As you said, Alice, the House Republicans have compromised on numerous occasions. Everyone knows that we want to repeal this law. We voted to repeal the entire law earlier this year. That did not pass. So we voted about 2 weeks ago to try to defund it for the year. That did not pass. So we said we should merely try to delay it for a year. And I think we can see after the glitchy rollout of all of the health insurance marketplaces yesterday, in addition to all of the parts of the law that Barack Obama has himself delayed, that this law is not ready for prime time, and that a one-year delay is an utterly reasonable compromise. Yet the Senate Democrats even rejected that. And then the last bill we passed, Alice, to keep the government funded, but also to give the American people some relief from Obamacare, said simply two things. One, if big business is going to get a break from Obamacare, then individual Arkansans and families should as well. And two, of all things, if the American people have to follow Obamacare, then Congress should have to follow it as well. And I was astonished to see that the United States Senate, in a straight-line, party-line vote, including Mark Pryor, would rather keep their exemption from Obamacare than keep the government open.
Well, and that's key. That is important to note. We have Senator Mark Pryor, as everyone has acknowledged across the country, and many polls and journalists, news outlets have indicated he is the most vulnerable Senate Democrat running in a red state. And your thoughts on him voting to keep his special exemption for Obamacare?
I find it astonishing that any politician in Washington would say that we're going to impose a law like Obamacare on the American people, but we're not going to follow it ourselves. That Senate Democrats would vote to keep a few $1,000s of insurance subsidies from taxpayers in their own pocket rather than keep the government open so our national parks can remain open, or so that we don't develop any more backlogs in veteran affairs processing or have any other kind of the side effects of a federal government shutdown. I genuinely can't believe that any politician in Washington, to include Senator Pryor, would rather keep their own taxpayer subsidized health insurance and Obamacare, keep their own Obamacare exemption, rather than keep the government open.
Well, and the Democrats continue to say that they're the ones that are working to keep the government open, and the only reason it's not is because Republicans continue to attach everything to Obamacare. And the truth is, and they say elections have consequences. Yes, they do. We reelected Barack Obama. We'll take that. And the Obamacare's law, it was upheld by the Supreme Court. But since that time, the president himself, the father of exemptions, delayed the implementation of employer mandate. We realize now it's going to cost jobs. It's created a part-time economy as opposed to a full-time. Businesses are letting folks go. And so House Republicans are doing what they ran on, smaller government, and repealing Obamacare. So why are they shocked that you're doing what the American people elected a majority House to do?
And Alice, it gets beyond the actual policies we propose. I mean, I find it amazing that Senate Democrats would rather keep their government or keep their Obamacare exemption than keep the government open, or that Senate Democrats believe that big businesses should get a break from Obamacare, but individuals and families shouldn't. But then, even after they rejected that proposal, Alice, late on Monday night, the House had another vote to propose that we go into a formal conference negotiation. And the Senate voted against that as well. They're refusing to even appoint negotiators with the House negotiators to try to work out our differences.
That's amazing.
I mean, that is maybe even more astonishing than them wanting to keep their own special exemption from Obamacare. They refuse to even sit down at the table and try to negotiate an outcome here.
Yeah,
it's remarkable.
Yeah, when we're at a stalemate, there's no doubt we're at a stalemate. There's no one in a better position to end the stalemate than the president himself, and that means bringing people to the table and having conversations. But with this shutdown, you yourself have announced that you are going to donate your salary to charity each day the government remains closed.
That's right, Alice. For as long as the government remains closed, I'll donate my daily salary to charity. The Senate Democrats have imposed needless hardship on Arkansans of all stripes, including many hardworking, dedicated public servants, by preferring to keep their Obamacare exemption and keep the government open. And I think that it's only fair and reasonable that I share with that, and I want to stand with Arkansans who are needlessly hurt by the Senate Democrats' government shutdown. And
moving forward, there has been quite a bit of talk since the shutdown. There's still work being done. We have House Republicans still coming up with ideas, and the latest proposals deal with what's piecemeal approach, really, to providing different measures that would provide funds for parks, Washington, D.C., veterans. Where do you stand on the piecemeal approach to try and reach consensus?
Oh, I'm in favor of the approach of trying to fund various parts of the government as we move forward to reduce the hardships on dedicated public servants as well as the public. And this has happened not just years ago; it happened days ago, Alice. On Saturday, the House unanimously passed a bill to fund our troops and their families. The Senate unanimously passed that bill, and Barack Obama signed it on Monday night. And now he's saying he won't continue that approach. That's the height of hypocrisy. But moreover, Bill Clinton did the exact same thing during the shutdowns in his administration. He signed bills, for instance, to let the D.C. city government take parts of its local revenues that the Treasury collects, like sales taxes or parking meter revenues. Same thing with the national parks, signed legislation to keep those open. And that's what the House is saying. We tried yesterday to pass, with Democratic support, a bill that would keep the national parks open, that would ensure that the Department of Veterans Affairs is fully funded, and that would let Washington, D.C. City government keep those local revenue sources since they belong to the city anyway. House Democrats voted down every one of those. So today, I suspect, we'll go through normal procedures, which don't require a two-thirds vote, and we'll pass them with a majority. And then I assume that the Senate Democrats would strongly support keeping open our national parks and supporting our veterans, just like they supported on Monday unanimously, supporting our troops and their families. But given their stubbornness over the last 2 weeks, I guess maybe you can't assume anything about Senate Democrats anymore.
All right, let's hope there's consensus soon. I know you have to run. I just got about 1 more minute left, a little less than a minute. Just want to get your thoughts. We got the debt limit October 17th deadline. How likely are we to end the shutdown so we can begin some debt limit talks?
Alice, it's unclear to me. We could end this government shutdown in just a matter of hours at any time the Senate Democrats are willing to put the national interest above their personal financial interest. Anytime they say that they would rather keep the government open than keep their Obamacare subsidy, there's legislation on which they could act that would subject Congress to Obamacare and would ensure that Arkansans and families get the same kind of relief from Obamacare's mandates for 1 year that big businesses get. It's very simple. That will help reopen the government in just a matter of hours.
Let's hope that sooner rather than later. Congressman Tom Cotton, now a candidate for U.S. Senate against Mark Pryor. Congressman, thank you for your time, and I appreciate your hard work up there.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day. We will take a break, and when we come back, we will talk more about the health insurance marketplace. The enrollment has begun here in the state of Arkansas. We'll talk with State Representative Kim Hammer, and also Senior Account Executive at Impact Management Group, Laurie Lee, will join me in studio. All that and more coming up on The Alice Stewart Show.
Hey!